Jack's cabin became their base of operations. Maps covered the walls with red pins marking each disappearance. Olivia had brought her scientific equipment from the research center, setting it up on Jack's kitchen table. Sheriff Linda Parker arranged her deputies to patrol in pairs, though she hadn't told them the full story yet. "No one goes out alone, especially at night," Linda instructed her team. "Report any unusual lights or sounds immediately." That evening, Olivia made a breakthrough. "I figured out how to detect their cloaking technology," she announced, showing Jack and Linda her modified scanner. "It gives off a specific electromagnetic signature." "Can we use that to find their ship?" Jack asked. "Better," Olivia said with a smile. "We can use it to see them coming." They set up detection units around the town perimeter, connecting them to a simple alarm system. If anything using the alien cloaking technology crossed the line, they would know. About 3 days passed quietly. Then just after midnight, the alarm sounded. Jack, who had been dozing in a chair, jumped to his feet. Linda grabbed her service weapon. Olivia checked the monitors. "Movement at the east perimeter," she said, heading toward the Mason farm. The Mason family, Greg, his wife Kate, and their teenage son Kyle, lived in a farmhouse about 2 miles from town. Jack called them immediately. "Greg, it's Jack Miller. Get your family into the basement and lock the door. Don't come out until I call you again." "What's going on, Jack?" Greg asked, confused. "No time to explain. Just do it now." The three of them piled into Linda's police SUV, racing toward the Mason farm. Olivia kept her scanner running, tracking the alien's movement. "It's still heading straight for the farm," she reported. "Moving fast." "We need a plan," Linda said, pushing the SUV faster. "We can't just confront this thing head on." Jack nodded. "I've been thinking about that. These creatures are hunters, right? They follow a code." "What do you mean?" Olivia asked. "In Pete's case, they gave him a chance to run. They didn't just kill him in his sleep. That means they want sport, not just slaughter." Linda gripped the steering wheel tighter. "So what's your plan?" "We give them a hunt," Jack said grimly. "But we choose the ground." They reached the Mason farm minutes later. The house was dark except for a single light in the basement window. Jack directed them to park behind the barn, out of sight. "The alien is about half a mile away, coming through the east field," Olivia whispered, checking her scanner. Jack quickly outlined his plan. They would set up in the barn, which had multiple exits. Jack would show himself, drawing the hunter's attention, while Linda circled around behind it. Olivia would stay hidden, tracking the alien's position with her scanner. "Remember, these things are stronger and faster than us," Jack warned. "Our only advantage is that they don't expect us to fight back." They took their positions just as Olivia's scanner began beeping more rapidly. "It's close," she whispered from her hiding spot in the hayloft. Jack stood in the open barn door, his hunting rifle ready. He couldn't see the alien, but he could feel its presence, a prickling sensation on the back of his neck that he had learned to trust in combat. "Come on," he muttered. "I know you're out there." The distortion in the air was subtle, just a slight shimmer about 20 yards away. Then it moved, heading directly for Jack. He raised his rifle and fired twice, not expecting to hit anything but hoping to provoke the hunter. The shots echoed in the night air. The response was immediate. The alien deactivated its cloaking device, revealing itself in all its terrifying glory. Standing over 7 feet tall with gray skin and 4 glowing yellow eyes, it wore armor made of an unknown material that seemed to shift colors in the moonlight. It made a sound, a clicking, rattling noise that Jack realized was laughter. Then it spoke, the words forming in Jack's mind rather than his ears. "Brave prey," it communicated. "Your species shows promise." Jack fired again, this time aiming carefully. The bullet sparked off the alien's armor, doing no damage. The hunter moved with incredible speed, covering the distance to the barn in seconds. Jack barely had time to duck inside before it reached him. As planned, he led it deeper into the barn, weaving between stacked hay bales and farm equipment. The alien followed, clearly enjoying the chase. "Olivia now!" Jack shouted as he passed beneath the hayloft. Olivia dumped a barrel of diesel fuel onto the alien, soaking its armor and skin. The creature paused, confused by this strange tactic. That moment of confusion was all Linda needed. From her position behind a tractor, she fired a flare gun directly at the fuel-soaked hunter. The alien burst into flames instantly. It screamed, a high-pitched, piercing sound that hurt their ears. Thrashing wildly, it tried to put out the fire, but the fuel clung to its skin. "Get out!" Jack yelled, grabbing Olivia's hand as she jumped down from the loft. Linda was already heading for the exit. They sprinted away from the barn just as the alien, still burning, crashed through the wooden wall. It staggered into the open, its body a pillar of fire against the night sky. Then incredibly it reached for a device on its wrist. There was a flash of light, and the hunter vanished. "Teleportation," Olivia gasped. It returned to its ship. They stood in silence, processing what had just happened. They had faced an alien hunter and survived, even wounded it. But they had also revealed that they were fighting back. "The Mason family should stay with relatives for a while," Linda said, finally. "Somewhere far from here," Jack nodded. "And we need to prepare. They won't underestimate us next time." Over the next week, 3 more hunting parties descended on the area. Each time, Jack, Olivia, and Linda were ready. They set traps, using Olivia's scanners to detect the cloaked hunters. Sometimes they wounded the aliens. Once they even killed one, though its body disappeared before they could examine it properly. Word spread quickly through the small town. At first, people didn't believe the wild tales of alien hunters. But after Linda showed selected community leaders the evidence Olivia had gathered, a quiet resistance formed. Farmers set up tripwires and alarms around their properties. Hunters and veterans formed patrol groups. No one went anywhere alone. After dark, the aliens changed tactics too. Instead of hunting isolated individuals, they began targeting the patrols. 3 men disappeared one night. Their bodies returned the next day, methodically dissected like Pete's had been. "They're learning," Jack said as they examined the latest victims. "Adapting to our defenses." "We need to learn more about them," Olivia insisted. "Find their weaknesses." Their opportunity came unexpectedly. Linda had installed cameras throughout the forest, hoping to catch glimpses of the hunters. One morning, they found footage of a Vexillar examining a deer it had killed. The alien seemed to be practicing, learning about Earth's wildlife. More importantly, the footage showed something they hadn't seen before, the hunter removing its helmet. "Look at those eyes," Olivia said, studying the footage. 4 of them, positioned for perfect 360-degree vision, but they're all the same size. "What does that mean?" Linda asked. "It means they probably don't have our visual depth perception. And notice how it keeps touching the deer? I think they rely more on touch than sight." Jack leaned closer to the screen. "Can you see those slits on the side of its head? Breathing holes?" Olivia nodded. "Their respiratory system must be different from ours. I wonder if Earth's atmosphere is completely comfortable for them." This information gave them new ideas. If the aliens relied heavily on touch, perhaps they could use that against them. If their breathing was different, maybe Earth's air could be made even less comfortable. "We need to find their ship," Jack decided. "See what else we can learn." Using Olivia's scanners and the pattern of hunter movements they had documented, they triangulated the most likely location of the alien vessel, a secluded mountain cave, about 10 miles from town. The 3 of them set out at dawn, hiking through dense forest to reach the location. Olivia's equipment began picking up strong readings as they approached. "It's here," she whispered, pointing to what looked like a solid rock face. "The ship is behind that." Carefully, they moved closer. Jack threw a small stone at the rock face. Instead of bouncing off, it passed through, disappearing as if the rock wasn't there. "Holographic camouflage," Olivia breathed. "Incredible." Before they could decide what to do next, Olivia's scanner began beeping urgently. "Movement," she hissed. "Lots of it. Coming this way." They retreated quickly, hiding in a dense thicket as a group of 5 Vexillar emerged from the holographic wall. The aliens were fully armed and armored, heading out on what was clearly a major hunting expedition. Once the hunters were gone, Jack pulled out a small camera. "We need to see what's in there." Linda shook her head. Too dangerous. If they catch us inside their ship. We don't have to go in, Olivia said. She pulled a small drone from her backpack. I borrowed this from the research center. It can record everything and send the feed to my tablet. They sent the drone through the holographic wall. For 10 tense minutes, they watched the feed as it explored the alien vessel. The interior was strange. Organic-looking corridors, pulsing, lights and rooms filled with equipment they couldn't begin to understand. Most disturbing was what appeared to be a trophy room. Skulls and preserved body parts from dozens of different species lined the walls. And there, in a special display case, were human remains. The stars looked different tonight, Jack Miller thought as he scanned the Montana sky. 20 years as a park ranger had taught him to notice even small changes in his forest. The strange lights he had seen for the past 3 nights were definitely not normal. Jack radioed back to the ranger station. Susan, you seeing anything unusual on the satellite feeds? Nothing showing up, Jack. You sure it's not just some campers with fancy gear? Maybe, Jack said, but he didn't believe it. His time as a Marine before becoming a ranger had taught him to trust his instincts. 3 people had gone missing in the last week. First was old Bill, who lived alone on the edge of the forest. Then the Johnsons, who had a small farm 5 miles from town. The local sheriff thought they might have just left town without telling anyone, but Jack knew better. The Johnsons wouldn't have left their animals unfed. 50 miles above Earth, Commander Alara 7 of the Vexillar hunting fleet watched the readings from her scout ship. The small blue planet was perfect, a developing species that had just begun basic space travel, but hadn't yet met other intelligent life. Their level of technology made them worthy prey, but not dangerous enough to pose a real threat. Second, Hunter, what do you make of these humans? She asked her second-in-command. The tall, gray-skinned alien studied the screen. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence as he processed the information. They seem physically weak compared to other prey species we've hunted. No natural weapons, thin skin, limited senses. But they show interesting pack behavior and tool use. Ilara 7 nodded, her bone crest rattling slightly in excitement. The elders will be pleased. This planet will make an excellent hunting ground for our coming-of-age rituals. The Vexillar had hunted intelligent species across 3 galaxies for thousands of years. Their entire culture was built around the concept of the hunt. Young Vexillar could only earn adult status by successfully hunting and taking a trophy from a sentient species. Finding new hunting grounds was crucial for their society. We will begin with isolated specimens, Ilara 7 decided. Learn their behaviors and weaknesses before expanding the hunt. Back on Earth, Dr. Olivia Winters frowned at her computer screen. The radiation readings she had been tracking for the past week made no sense. As head xenobiologist at the Westfield Research Center, she had been studying potential signals of alien life for over a decade. These readings matched nothing in their database. Alan, can you look at this? She called to her colleague. Dr. Alan Garcia wheeled his chair over. That can't be right. Run it again. I've run it 6 times, Olivia said. Something is out there, and it's using technology we've never seen before. When the sheriff called that evening about another missing person, Olivia decided to visit the site herself. The small farm showed no signs of struggle, but her equipment detected the same strange radiation signature she had been studying. Sheriff, has anyone else been investigating these disappearances? She asked. Just the local park ranger, Jack Miller. Former Marine, knows these woods better than anyone. He's been reporting strange lights. That was how Olivia and Jack met the next day, comparing notes at the local diner. So you're saying these disappearances might be connected to something not from Earth? Jack asked quietly. Olivia nodded. I know how it sounds, but the radiation signatures I'm tracking don't match any known technology, and they appear exactly where people have gone missing. Jack pushed his coffee cup aside. I've been seeing lights in the forest, moving too fast, too silent for any aircraft I know. We should check out the areas together, Olivia suggested. Your tracking skills and my scientific equipment might give us answers. That night, they hiked to a ridge overlooking the valley, where Jack had seen the lights. Olivia set up her monitoring equipment while Jack kept watch. "Movement 3 o'clock," Jack whispered suddenly, pointing toward a clearing below. Olivia turned her scanner in that direction. The readings spiked dramatically. "Something's there, but I can't see anything." "I saw the grass move, like something was walking through it," Jack said. Whatever it was heading toward a small cabin about half a mile away. The isolated home belonged to Pete Sanderson, a local farmer. "We should warn him," Olivia said, already packing up her equipment. They moved quickly through the forest, Jack leading the way through shortcuts he knew well. But they were too late. As they approached Pete's cabin, a scream cut through the night. Jack pulled Olivia down behind a fallen tree. "Stay here," he whispered, drawing a hunting knife from his boot. "You can't go alone," she hissed back. Before they could argue further, the cabin door burst open. Pete stumbled out, blood streaming from his shoulder. Behind him was something neither of them had ever seen before, a tall gray figure with 4 glowing eyes and a bone crest on its head. It moved with incredible speed, catching Pete before he made it 10 steps from his door. Jack and Olivia watched in horror as the creature lifted the struggling man with one arm. In its other hand, it held a device that glowed blue. It pressed this against Pete's head, and the farmer went limp instantly. The alien then did something even more disturbing. It began to examine Pete as if evaluating a specimen. It took measurements, extracted blood samples, and finally slung the unconscious man over its shoulder. As the creature turned to leave, it did something unexpected. It activated a device on its wrist, and suddenly its body began to fade from view, becoming nearly invisible except for a slight distortion in the air. "Cloaking technology," Olivia whispered, her scientific mind still working despite her fear. "That's why we can't see them." They followed at a safe distance as the invisible hunter carried Pete through the forest. After about 2 miles, they came to a small clearing where the air itself seemed to shimmer. "It's a ship," Olivia realized as the alien approached the distortion and suddenly vanished inside. They waited for hours, but nothing emerged. At dawn, they finally retreated, both shaken by what they had seen. "We need help," Jack said as they hiked back toward town. "But who's going to believe us?" Their answer came later that day when they found Pete's body at the edge of the forest. It had been returned, but not alive. The corpse had been skillfully dissected and then put back together, missing several organs and the entire brain. Sheriff Linda Parker was the first on the scene, and even she couldn't deny the evidence before her. "This isn't human work," she said, looking pale. "What the hell did this?" Jack and Olivia exchanged glances. "We need to talk," Jack said. "Somewhere private." That evening in Jack's cabin, the 3 of them sat around a map of the area marking the locations of disappearances and strange light sightings. "So alien hunters have come to Earth," Linda said, still struggling to accept what they had told her. "And they're treating us like animals." "Yes," Olivia confirmed, "but they don't know one important thing about humans." "What's that?" Jack asked. Olivia's eyes hardened. "We're predators too." Colonel Frank Davenport arrived 2 days later, alone and skeptical. He sat in Jack's cabin, his weathered face expressionless as he reviewed their evidence. "So you're telling me alien hunters are using Earth as some kind of game preserve?" he said finally. "Yes, sir," Jack replied. "And their main fleet is coming." Frank rubbed his eyes. "In my 30 years of service, I've heard some wild stories, Miller, but this—" Olivia stepped forward. "Colonel, I understand your doubts, but please look at the data. The radiation signatures, tissue samples from the victims, the drone footage. None of this has an earthly explanation." Frank was about to respond when Linda burst through the door. "They took the Wilson family," she said breathlessly. "All of them, Greg, Diane, and their 2 boys." Jack grabbed his rifle. "Where?" "Their farm, about 5 miles west." Deputy Ellis saw strange lights and called it in. Colonel Davenport stood up. "I'll come with you. I want to see these hunters firsthand." They piled into 2 vehicles and raced to the Wilson farm. Night had fallen, making the hunt more dangerous, but they couldn't leave a family in the aliens' hands. When they arrived, the farm was eerily quiet. Using Olivia's scanners, they detected 3 alien signatures moving inside the main house. "The family," Frank whispered. Olivia shook her head. "No readings matching human life signs. They must have taken them already." Jack outlined a quick plan. They would surround the house and use flashbang grenades, non-lethal stun devices, to disorient the hunters. Then they would move in, using Olivia's specially designed strobe lights that she believed would affect the aliens' vision. "Remember, these things are stronger and faster than us," Jack warned. "Don't engage in close combat if you can avoid it." They moved into position. Jack gave the signal, and Linda threw the first flashbang through a window. The explosion of light and sound shook the house. Immediately they heard the aliens' high-pitched screeching. "Now!" Jack shouted. They stormed the house from all sides, Olivia's strobes blazing. The effect on the hunters was dramatic. They staggered, their movements becoming uncoordinated as the pulsing lights confused their senses. One alien crashed through a wall trying to escape. It ran directly into Colonel Davenport, who fired his shotgun point blank into its chest. The hunter went down, green fluid spurting from the wound. Another Vexillar leaped from a second-story window, its cloaking device activating mid-jump. But Linda, watching through a thermal scope, tracked its heat signature and fired. The bullet found its mark, and the alien fell heavily to the ground. The third hunter proved more difficult. It had taken cover in the basement and was firing some kind of energy weapon that left smoking holes in whatever it hit. "We need to flush it out," Jack said. Olivia pulled a small device from her pack. "I've been working on this. It generates a high-frequency sound that should be painful to their hearing organs." She activated the device. A high whine filled the air, barely audible to human ears. From the basement came a terrible scream. The alien burst through the basement door, its 4 hands pressed against the sides of its head. Jack didn't hesitate. He fired 3 shots, each hitting the disoriented hunter in vital areas. It collapsed, twitching. "Secure the area," Colonel Davenport ordered, slipping easily back into command mode. They found the Wilson family bound in the back of an alien transport vehicle hidden behind the barn. They were unconscious but alive, apparently sedated for transport back to the hunter's ship. As Linda tended to the family, Jack, Olivia, and Frank examined the fallen aliens. 2 were dead, but 1 still lived, breathing shallowly. "We need to take it alive," Olivia insisted. The information it could provide would be invaluable. They bound the wounded hunter with steel cables and loaded it into Linda's SUV. Before they could leave, they heard a high-pitched whining noise. The bodies of the dead aliens began to glow and then disintegrated into dust. "Self-destruct mechanism," Olivia said. "They don't leave evidence behind." Their captive was fading fast. Despite Olivia's efforts to stabilize it, the hunter died before they reached Jack's cabin. Like the others, its body soon turned to dust. But they had gained something valuable: the alien's equipment. Its armor, weapons, and communication devices remained intact. Colonel Davenport spent the night examining the evidence. By morning, his skepticism had vanished. "I'm calling this in," he said, reaching for his secure satellite phone. "But it's going to take time to convince the right people." "Time we don't have," Jack reminded him. "Then we keep fighting while I work the official channels," Frank decided. "I can get a small team here, people I trust, off the books." Within 2 days, Frank's team arrived. 6 Special Forces operatives, each selected for specific skills. With them came Dr. Alan Reeves, a weapons developer who had worked with Olivia before. "The brass thinks Frank has lost his mind," Alan told Olivia as they set up a lab in the local high school's science room. "But I've known him for 20 years. If he says aliens are hunting humans, I believe him." Together they began analyzing the alien technology. The armor proved to be a marvel of engineering, lightweight but nearly impervious to regular bullets. The weapons used an energy source they couldn't identify. Most valuable was the communication device. Alan managed to get it working, allowing them to monitor the hunters' transmissions. "I can't understand their language," he admitted, "but I can track their movements based on signal strength." Using this advantage, they began setting traps for the hunting parties. Sometimes they succeeded, killing or driving off the aliens. Sometimes they failed, losing good people in the process. 2 weeks after Frank's arrival, they achieved their biggest victory yet. Using information gleaned from monitoring the aliens' communications, they located another landing craft hidden in an abandoned mine shaft. If we can capture it intact, we might be able to use their own technology against them, Jack suggested. Frank nodded. High risk, high reward. I like it. They planned the assault carefully. 20 people, a mix of special forces, local law, enforcement, and volunteers with military experience, would attack from multiple directions. Olivia and Alan had developed more effective weapons, bullets coated with a toxin they had derived from the alien blood samples, and sonic devices that disrupted the hunters' senses. The assault began at dawn. The element of surprise worked in their favor. They killed 3 hunters before the aliens even realized they were under attack. But the Vexlar recovered quickly, deploying energy weapons that cut down several attackers. Jack, leading a team through a side entrance, fought his way to what appeared to be the ship's control room. 3 hunters defended it fiercely. "Cover me," he shouted to his team as he activated one of Olivia's sonic devices. The high-frequency sound disoriented the aliens long enough for Jack's team to gain the upper hand. After a brutal hand-to-hand fight that left 2 of his men wounded, they secured the control room. Throughout the ship, similar scenes played out. The human attackers took heavy casualties but pressed on with remarkable determination. Their coordination and adaptability surprised the Vexlar, who were accustomed to hunting frightened, disorganized prey. After an hour of intense fighting, the ship was theirs. 7 humans had died and many more were wounded, but they had captured an alien vessel intact, along with a wealth of data and technology. More importantly, they had captured a hunter alive, Commander Ilara 7 herself. Unlike previous captives, Ilara 7 did not attempt suicide. When brought before Frank, Jack, and Olivia in restraints, she stood proud and defiant. "You fight well," she communicated telepathically. "Better than any prey species we have encountered." "We are not prey," Jack said coldly. The alien made the rattling sound they now recognized as laughter. "All species are either predator or prey. It is the way of the universe." "Why Earth?" Olivia asked. "Why humans?" "Your species shows potential," Ilara 7 replied. "Strong enough to make worthy trophies, not so advanced as to be dangerous. The perfect game." Frank leaned forward. "Tell me about the fleet that's coming." Ilara 7's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "The great hunt approaches. 7 motherships, thousands of hunters. They will descend on your world and take the finest specimens. It is an honor for your species." "When?" Jack demanded. "Soon," the alien hunter said. "Very soon." As if summoned by her words, Alan burst into the room. "We're picking up massive energy signatures in orbit," he reported, his face pale. "They're already here." Outside, the sky had turned dark as enormous ships moved into position around the Earth, visible even in daylight. Humanity's greatest challenge had arrived, and they were far from ready. Frank looked at Jack, his expression grim. "I'm still working on convincing the Pentagon this is real. We need more time." "Time just ran out," Jack said, turning to their prisoner. "Now it's our turn to hunt." Ilara 7 made that rattling laugh again. "You think you can hunt the hunters? Brave but foolish." Jack smiled thinly. "You made one critical mistake when you chose humans as your prey." "And what is that?" the alien asked. "Throughout our history, whenever we've been hunted, we've adapted. We've survived. And then we've turned the tables on our predators. Every single time." For the first time, something like doubt flickered in Ilara 7's alien eyes. Olivia stepped forward. "You said all species are either predator or prey. You're about to learn which one we really are." The 7 massive Vexlar ships hung in Earth's sky like dark moons visible from every continent. Panic swept across the globe. Governments scrambled to respond, but conventional weapons proved useless against the alien vessel's shields. In Washington, Colonel Davenport finally got his meeting with the Joint Chiefs of Staff. With him were Jack, Olivia, and their prisoner, Commander Ilara 7. The alien hunter, still bound but unafraid, observed the humans with clinical interest. "Everything Dr. Winters and Ranger Miller have told you is true," Frank said, gesturing to the evidence spread across the conference table. "We've been fighting these hunters for weeks. General Carter, the highest-ranking officer present, studied the alien weapons and armor. And you believe they're here to hunt humans? Not to conquer or colonize?" "Their entire culture revolves around hunting sentient species," Olivia explained. "They don't want our resources or our territory. They want us, as trophies." The general turned to Alara 7. "Is this true?" The aliens' thoughts projected into their minds. "The Great Hunt is our highest tradition. Your species has been selected for this honor." "Honor?" General Carter's face flushed with anger. "You call kidnapping and murdering our people an honor?" "All prey resists," Alara 7 replied calmly. "It is the nature of the hunt." Jack stepped forward. "Sir, debating with them is pointless. They see us as animals. We need to show them we're predators too." The meeting lasted hours. By the end, the military leadership accepted the reality of their situation. Resources were allocated and a new joint task force was formed. Jack, Olivia, and Frank would lead it, with full authority to use any means necessary to counter the alien threat. Their first priority was understanding the Vexillar technology. Using the captured ship and equipment, Olivia and Alan made rapid progress. They discovered that the aliens' cloaking devices could be detected with modified radar systems. Their energy weapons, while powerful, drained quickly and needed time to recharge. Most importantly, they found a vulnerability in the hunter's biology. The Vexillar respiratory system was designed for an atmosphere different from Earth's. They could breathe Earth air, but certain compounds caused them severe discomfort. "We can create a gas that won't harm humans, but will effectively blind and disorient them," Olivia told the task force. "It's not lethal, but it will give us an advantage." While the scientists worked, Jack and Frank organized the defense. Special forces teams were equipped with modified weapons and taught how to fight the hunters. Regular military units were positioned around major population centers, but the Vexillar struck first. Hunting parties descended on cities worldwide, announcing their presence and their intentions. They declared Earth an official hunting ground and promised honorable combat to any humans brave enough to face them. The response surprised them. Instead of mass panic, humans organized. Veterans formed community defense groups. Hunters and outdoorsmen set traps in forests and mountains. Even ordinary citizens armed themselves and established neighborhood watches. And they fought back. For every human taken, a hunter died. The Vexillar, accustomed to terrorized prey, faced determined resistance everywhere they went. At the Pentagon Command Center, Jack watched the global situation unfold. "They're adapting their tactics," he noted as reports came in. "Targeting our military bases now, going after our weapons and communications." Frank nodded. "They're learning that we're not like their usual prey, but so are we." Olivia's team had reverse-engineered enough alien technology to begin equipping special forces with countermeasures. Teams with special training were dispatched to deal with high-priority hunter parties. Jack led one such team in Colorado, where a group of elite Vexillar hunters had established a base in the Rocky Mountains. Using thermal imaging that could detect the aliens through their cloaking, Jack's team surrounded the base. "Remember, these are their best hunters," he warned his 12-person team. "Don't underestimate them." The assault began with... The interior of the mothership was unlike anything Jack had ever seen. The corridors seemed almost organic, with walls that pulsed with light and floors that adjusted to their footsteps. The air had a metallic taste, and gravity felt slightly stronger than Earth's. "This way," Alara 7 directed, leading them through a maze of passages. "The central computer is at the ship's core." Two Vexillar hunters approached. Jack tensed, his hand moving to his weapon, but Alara 7 made a series of clicking sounds and gestures. The hunters stepped aside, eyeing the humans with what seemed like curiosity rather than hostility. "What did you tell them?" Linda whispered after they passed. "That you are special specimens being brought for the Grand Hunter's inspection," Alara 7 replied. "A rare honor that they dare not interfere with." They continued deeper into the ship. Occasionally they passed more hunters, but none challenged them. Jack began to hope their plan might actually succeed. Then the alarm sounded, a high-pitched wailing that hurt their ears. Red lights pulsed along the corridors. "We've been discovered," one of the Special Forces operators said, Alara 7's 4. Eyes blinked rapidly. "No, this is something else." A general alarm. She accessed a nearby console. "Your people are attacking the hunting parties on the surface, with unexpected success. The fleet is calling all hunters back to the ships." Jack felt a surge of pride. Even without their mission succeeding, humanity was fighting back effectively. But it also meant time was running out. "How much further to the central computer?" he asked. 3 levels down," Alara 7 said. "But security will be heightened now," as, if to confirm her words, 6 armed hunters appeared at the end of the corridor, weapons raised. These were not ordinary hunters. They wore special armor marked with red symbols that Alara 7 had told them designated elite guards. "Stay behind me," Alara 7 ordered, stepping forward. She began a complex series of gestures and sounds, apparently trying to maintain their cover. The guards were not convinced. One barked a command and they all raised their weapons. "Down!" Jack yelled, pulling Alara 7 back as energy blasts scorched the air where she had been standing. Linda and the 2 operators returned fire immediately. Their specially designed bullets found weak points in the guards' armor, dropping 2 of them. But the remaining 4 pressed forward, firing continuously. "We need another route," Jack shouted to Alara 7 as they took cover behind a structural pillar. The alien commander pointed to a maintenance hatch in the ceiling. "That will take us to the service corridors. From there we can reach the central core." One by one, they climbed into the narrow shaft above. As the last operator was climbing up, a guard shot caught him in the leg. He fell back to the floor. With a cry of pain, "Carlos!" Linda shouted, reaching down for him. "Go!" the wounded man yelled back, pulling out a grenade. "I'll hold them off." Jack wanted to argue, but there was no time. He pulled Linda up and sealed the hatch just as an explosion rocked the corridor below. "He gave us a chance," Jack said quietly. "Let's not waste it." The service corridors were cramped and dark, forcing them to crawl in single file. Alara 7, despite her larger size, moved with surprising grace through the confined space. "Why are you really helping us?" Jack asked as they paused at a junction. The alien was silent for a moment before responding. "Your species has shown qualities the Vexler value: resilience, adaptability, courage. The greatest honor in our culture is not to kill worthy prey, but to recognize worthy equals." "So this is still about honor for you," Linda said skeptically. "All life is about honor," Alara 7 replied. "Without it, we are merely animals killing each other for food or territory." They continued through the service corridor until they reached another hatch. Alara 7 peered through it cautiously. "The computer core is just ahead," she reported. "But it is heavily guarded." Jack checked the virus device Alan and Olivia had prepared. "We only need a few minutes to upload this. If we can create a diversion." The remaining Special Forces operator, Sam, held up a small device. "I still have the gas canisters Dr. Winters developed. They should work even better in this enclosed space." Their plan was simple. Sam would create a diversion with the gas while Jack and Linda, protected by filtration masks, would fight their way to the computer console. Alara 7 would guide them through the upload process. The moment Sam released the gas, chaos erupted. The guards staggered, disoriented and blinded, their 4-eyed vision particularly vulnerable to the compound Olivia had designed. Jack and Linda pushed forward, firing precisely at the weakened hunters. They reached the central console, a massive crystalline structure pulsing with blue light. Jack plugged in Alan's device while Linda provided cover fire. "Now what?" he asked Alara 7. The alien commander moved to the console, her 6-fingered hands dancing across the controls. "The system is asking for authentication. I will provide it." For a tense moment, Jack wondered if she would betray them, but Alara 7 continued entering commands, and the crystal began to pulse faster. "Upload beginning," she confirmed. But we have a problem. The system has detected the virus. It will send an alert to the Grand Hunter in moments. How long until the upload is complete? Linda asked, firing at a guard who had fought through the gas effects. 3 minutes, Alara 7 replied. We will not survive that long once the elite guards arrive. Jack made a quick decision. Sam, get Linda and Alara 7 back to the ship. I'll hold them off and finish the upload. Not happening, Linda said firmly. We stick together. Before Jack could argue, the main doors to the computer core slid open. Standing there was the largest Vexler they had seen yet. Nearly 10 feet tall, wearing ornate armor covered in trophies from dozens of species. 4 other elite hunters flanked him. The Grand Hunter. Alara 7 whispered, a note of fear in her telepathic voice for the first time. The massive alien strode forward, ignoring the gas as if it were nothing. Its thoughts projected directly into their minds, overwhelming in their power. Commander Alara 7, the Grand Hunter communicated. You bring disgrace to your bloodline. Helping prey fight back perverts the sacred hunt. Alara 7 stood tall despite her fear. These humans have proven themselves more than prey, Grandy. Hunter, they have earned respect as equals. Equals? The Grand Hunter's mental voice was thick with contempt. They are clever animals, nothing more, and you have become a traitor to your species. The upload bar on Alan's device showed 60% completion. They needed more time. Jack stepped forward. If we're just animals, why don't you fight me one-on-one? Or are you afraid to hunt without your guards and technology? It was a desperate gambit, but Jack had learned enough about Vexlar culture to know that challenges to honor were taken seriously, especially among high-ranking hunters. The Grand Hunter stared at Jack with all 4 eyes. You challenge me, human? By the ancient rules? I do, Jack said firmly. Just you and me. If I win, you let my friends go and remove Earth from your hunting grounds forever. And when I win, I will mount your skull in my personal trophy room, the Grand Hunter replied. Your species will be hunted for generations. Jack nodded. Deal. The Grand Hunter signaled to his guards, who formed a circle around the 2 combatants. The alien removed his energy weapons but kept his armor. Jack, this is suicide, Linda hissed. Keep an eye on the upload, he whispered back. I just need to buy time. The Grand Hunter attacked with frightening speed, covering the distance between them in a single bound. Jack barely avoided the first blow, rolling aside as the alien's massive fist cracked the floor where he had been standing. Jack knew he couldn't match the Vexillar's strength or speed. His only advantage was what humans had always relied on: adaptability and unpredictability. As the Grand Hunter charged again, Jack used the smaller gas canister he had hidden in his pocket, spraying it directly into the alien's 4 eyes. The hunter roared in pain but continued his attack blindly, smashing equipment and nearly hitting his own guards. Jack used the chaos to land several strikes with his vibroblade, aiming for the joints in the alien's armor. Green fluid seeped from the wounds, but the Grand Hunter seemed barely affected. A massive backhand caught Jack in the chest, sending him flying into a console. Pain exploded through his body as he felt ribs crack. The Grand Hunter charged forward, pinning Jack to the ground with one massive foot. Pathetic, the alien communicated. Is this the best Earth's defenders can offer? Jack, struggling to breathe, saw Linda frantically checking the upload device. It was at 95%. Just a few more seconds. With his last strength, Jack raised the vibroblade and drove it into the Grand Hunter's ankle, one of the few gaps in its armor. The blade sheared through alien tendons and bone, causing the massive hunter to lose balance. As the Grand Hunter fell, Jack rolled away and grabbed the alien's own ceremonial dagger from its belt. In one fluid motion, he drove the weapon into a gap under the hunter's helmet, finding the soft tissue of its throat. The Grand Hunter thrashed wildly, green fluid spraying from the wound. Its telepathic voice screamed in Jack's mind, a mixture of rage and disbelief that prey could strike a killing blow against the greatest hunter in the fleet. Then the crystal console pulsed brightly, and Alan's device beeped. Upload complete, it announced in Olivia's recorded voice.